Okay, so I'm out here for the second time in a week in the Terry Badlands wilderness area. It was 6 days ago I did my second overnighter ever in the Terry Badlands, the first one in 5 years. And I enjoyed that. I slept a lot better. I enjoyed it more. And so I'm out here again with some new gear and some new tactics. Okay, I came to my first little interesting spot here. It's a little, kind of a little shallow cave, and it's facing the right way. I've got my compass out here, and southeast is that way, so the wind could come from that way all the way over to here tonight, and this should be protected on all sides. And it's got quite a ceiling on it, which is unusual in this country. This is one of the bigger ones I've ever seen. So I could stay here, but I'm going to keep looking. This is frozen to halfway thawed mud down here, which I'm sure if anything it'll freeze up again tonight. Okay, so I'm on my second perspective camping spot here, and this is one of the ones I saw on Google Earth, and it's got lots of timber and lots of little cliffs, and that's what I'm looking for, the timber and the cliffs. Find the cliffs at the right angle, and you can get good protection from the wind and build use the cliff behind you or in front of you as a fire reflector. Okay, I'm going to descend down in here for the first time. I took my pack off, make it a little bit easier, but this looks very interesting. Lots of wood right here. Totally protected cave shelter. This thing is going to be 100% out of the wind. That is so cool. It's almost perfect. I don't know if I'll have to build a rock wall or anything. Probably not. The way this boulder's spaced. Oh man, this is just about perfect. I could carve out a level sleeping place right here. Build a fire there. Look at that old log. I could even burn that log. I could burn that log right where it is. Wow. This is pretty cool. Okay, so I explored the rest of that little cliff, and there was a few other places you could camp real easy, but nothing was better than that first little spot. I'm pretty sure I'm going to stay there, but I want to explore the rest of this first. Okay, here I found a nice little spot that would definitely work. It's nearly as protected as the other place, but I would have to build a rock wall here. It's kind of interesting, these sawed-off stumps here. Those are probably from 100 years ago. Ranchers would come up and make their fence posts out of these. And you see this all the time. It looks to me like it's hand-sawed or chopped. They didn't have chainsaws. And they took these down, they made fence posts out of them, they lasted for 100 years. Some of them are still on the ground. So I looked all along this cliff face, and I didn't find anything better than that first place. So pretty sure that's what I'm going to do, is go back and make a camp there and then go explore around here a little bit. Okay, I have made my camp up, and it's not perfect. It seems perfect. It feels like you have the perfect spot, and then when you start to set it up, you see things are just misaligned a certain amount, and you try to fix that, and then you wish that maybe you did it a different way. That's where I'm going to make my fire. That's all ready to go. I got plenty of wood. I got little sticks, medium sticks, and I got some big logs to burn at night, during the middle of the night, to try to get longer burns so I can sleep better. I got my bedding here. It's just barely 4 feet from the fire, which is really minimal, I think. I'd like to have it a little bit farther back, but I also want to make it parallel with the fire so that I'm warm all the way head to toe, and that's the angle of the fire there. So there's also some spacing issues in here, so I got to step over this to get over here. This is the only way out without going way back. And it's funny, somebody cut that with a saw. That's weird. That was cut with a saw. I wonder why. Such a small branch, way too small to be a fence posts. You can see evidence of the ranchers coming up here and cutting fence posts. Mostly a long time ago, probably. I'm sure it's 50 plus years and mostly 100 years. But that branch right there was cut with a saw in the middle of nowhere. It's a small branch. I see that on the, well, like I said, on fence post size stuff, but it's kind of an interesting rock formation here. I thought I saw a pictoglyph. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Where Indians draw on rocks. I've seen those before in a couple places, and they're really cool. Very rare. Only seen them in a couple of places, never around here. But it gets me to thinking, you know, those of us that have YouTube channels, you know, maybe we have stuff going back 5 or 10 years, and you kind of think maybe that's going to last. But, you know, someday YouTube will be down. YouTube will be out of business, and every other platform will eventually go under, or they'll just dump your stuff. You know, they'll just, we're tired of parking this on here for free, and just like, you know, most film, silver film has been lost to history because it deteriorates, and all this stuff on the internet's all going to vanish eventually, sooner or later. And it just gets me to thinking that what's interesting is that these guys, you know, 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, that were scratching pictures on rocks, their stuff is still up. And I think if you really want to make something permanent in this world, you better scratch it on a rock, because if it's on the internet, it's not going to be there forever. Well, I probably shouldn't have done it, but I went ahead and scrambled up that last steep part to get on top here. And this has got to be one of the highest spots in the Terry Badlands. I'm going to check it on Google Earth when I go back home. But I'm looking down on everything other than the scenic trail. I'm probably looking straight at that. I'm looking way down on that plateau right there. That's the plateau from last week. And check this out. This thing here is man-made for sure. And I think these are called cairns or monuments. And I read a little brief article on them. They're made by white men and Indians. And why somebody did this, I don't know. Sometimes I've heard they do it so it helps them find their way around the country. But this thing here can't really be seen from down below. I couldn't see that from down below. I was looking from down there. I was looking up here and I couldn't see it. So I don't know what it's for. Just somebody did it just to do it. But how long has it been there? 50 years, 100 years, 500 years? I don't know. Anyway, awesome view. Awesome view. Feels like I'm on a mountain in the middle of the Terry Badlands. I guess I am, but like the highest mountain. I mean, look at that. I'm looking down on everything. That is so cool. So I come down off that mountain, and I looked over to find my reference to my camp, and I got a little bit mixed up, and took me a little bit to work out, because I came down a different way than I went up the mountain. So I was seeing it at a different angle, and you can sure see how you can get, if you got mixed up and started walking towards the wrong bunch of trees, you could end up, you know, half mile away from where you want to be at dark. So you got to pay attention. A little bit here. I'm gonna fire up the campfire and start reading my book. I brought a neat book. Oh, rock is gonna kill me yet. The stupid thing rolls every time I step on it. Anyway, I brought a Peter Capstick book called Man Eaters. It's about man-eating animals like lions and tigers, and leopards, and it's a great book. I've read it several times. So that's the plan. So I've got my fire going. It's been going about an hour, and a little over an hour. And I just boosted it, but it's not been working very good. It's not working as good as it was at the other place. Last week, that fire was warming me on both sides. Like the side near the fire was warm, and on the other side was warm. And now I'm hot on this side and I'm cold. I got a draft on this side, and it's just not reflecting the fire right, you know. I'm reading my Peter Capstick book entitled Man-Eaters by Peter Hathaway Capstick. I've read it several times, and I highly recommend this book. It's true stories of man-eating animals. And I'm not going to read anything out of here today, but the chapter on leopards is particularly interesting. Okay, there we go. That's the leopard in the picture. Leopards, chapter 4. And I just read that. And leopards are really interesting. They're the smallest of the big cats that eat humans. But I mean, unless you count the mountain lion, which I don't count mountain lions because they've killed people. You know, they tried to eat people, and you know, but they never rack up a tally of hundreds of people killed, and the leopard has done that. And what's really interesting about them is that they're so smart and clever that there was an incident in the 1950s in India where there was a man-eating leopard that was racking up a tally, and it killed over 100 men, women, and children over a period of months or years, I'm not sure. And they sent the government sent in sequence 4 professional hunters to find this cat and track it down and kill it. And in each case, the leopard hunted down the hunters and climbed into the trees that they were sitting in the middle of the night, which is the only way to hunt them, and killed and eaten each of the 4 professional hunters before somebody else finally got it. Okay, so it's 5:30 in the morning, and this is my French press coffee maker that I bought. First try with that thing. It's a good thing it's a French press, so it's going to have to strain out some ash. When you heat something on the fire, you get a lot of ash in it, so let that steep for 4 minutes. And we'll see how that French press works. So, I made it through the night. The temperature didn't get that cold. I don't have cell phone service down this hole, so I don't know what it is, but it feels like it's in the 30s to me. Not colder than 35 probably. But I was more uncomfortable than I was at the other location because I couldn't get the back side of me warm. I was hot on one side, cold on the other. And the other place I was warm all the time. But anyway, it's going to be light. It's going to start getting light in pretty quick here. What the hell? There's like 50 dots in a row. I wish I could get a video of that. I doubt it'll show. What the hell is that? There's like, I don't know what that is. If it's a shooting star or a meteor or something, or... Wow. I bet the camera didn't see that, but that was like, it's like a streak of 50 or 100 bright lights, you know, or meteors. They're going really kind of slow though. They weren't streaking fast. I bet it was a broke up meteor, because it was like a string of glowing objects, unidentified objects in the sky there. That's a first. So anyway, I know people are going to think I made that up, but I didn't. That was, I'm sure it was a meteor breaking up. And I've seen that before. I know what it looks like, but it looked different because they were those glowing dots were moving relatively slowly. Not like when I saw an asteroid break up, or meteor or whatever it is, break up, and it was streaking across the sky, and the whole thing was over with in 3 seconds. And this went on for 30 seconds at least. But it was a streak of dots, like 50, and they were like not moving at exactly the same speed. I'm not sure if they were catching up to each other, or some of them were falling back or whatever. But boy, it sure looked weird. But I'm sure it was a meteor that was breaking up. But I know the camera didn't pick it up, because I know that GoPro does not pick up stuff in the dark unless you put it on night mode and you take a still. You know, but especially with the firelight reflecting, there's no way it would have picked it up, which is too bad. But it was awesome. I wish I could have shown that, because it was really cool. But it was not a UFO. And with that, we are packed up and hiking out. And I was gonna hike around some more today and explore. I'd really like to, but I screwed up my knee yesterday. I shouldn't have climbed that last tall hill. It was tender, and I really wanted to get to the top of that thing, so I pushed it and I got up there and I felt okay. But then last night when I started tending my camp, my knee got really tender, and part of it was going in and out of that hole where I was camped. That was really steep, and combination of steep hills and then this pack being so heavy when I first came in, kind of wore out my knee a little bit. So beautiful morning. I'm just gonna hike out of here today. It's not worth screwing my knee up worse. It'll heal if I stay off of it for a couple of days. Okay, so I wanted to do the gear review, the gear and tactics review. I did some of that already, I think, but the place that I camped, the way I set up my fire, did not work nearly as good as it did last week. As far as the equipment, the little French press coffee maker worked really good, except that it only made about 2/3 of a cup, or a small cup. I wish it would make a full cup, you know, or a large cup. But it's small, and that's why it doesn't make a whole lot. But it packs easy, because it fits in your pack real easy, and it strained out all the coffee grounds, you know. And then the other thing I wanted to feature that I didn't use it on camera, but I did pack it and I used it off camera. I've had it for years. It's this little, it's not a binocular, it's a monocular. It's 10 power. It is Vortex brand, and what's nice about it is it has the optics of a nice 10 power medium-sized binocular, but because it's a monocular, it's only half as big, or even less than half as big and heavy and bulky, and you can carry that thing in your pocket, and the optics on it are really quite good. They're much better than a small binocular that has a real narrow field of view. And I don't know what the field of view is on that, but it's decent, you know. And it wouldn't be the thing you'd want to bring with if you're going to seriously glass for hours, you know, and you wanted to judge antlers at a mile away and things like that. You'd want a quality spotting scope on a tripod. But as far as something you can carry in with you overnight, when every ounce you pack on you matters, that thing is really handy. I've been real happy with it. And you just want to see what's over there and get a decent optical view of it, you know. So that's my gear and bushcraft tactics review for this overnighter.